This is the APU AUV podcast. We are the American International School and American University in Vietnam, in Da Nang and Ho Chi Minh City. Hi, I'm Huân Minh Tâm. I'm a communication major at AUV. We are proud to present Life Studying Abroad, a series of episodes where we check in with former APU and AUV students on what life is like living and studying abroad. Recently, we surveyed APU and AUV students and asked them what is their biggest fear when it comes to studying and living abroad.
My biggest fear when studying abroad is culture shock, since I'm a foreigner and I don't know anything about their country.
In my personal opinion, I think the thing I was more afraid of when studying in a different country is being lonely. It's okay for me to be alone sometimes, but other times when I need a friend to hang out with or someone to talk to and I have no one, then I will be very afraid of being lonely.
So my biggest fear studying abroad, I want to talk about homesickness, about the fear and the missing family and friends back home while studying abroad.
In this episode, I'm talking to Lê Minh Mỹ Hạnh, Isabella, who is currently a freshman at CMU, Central Michigan University, in Mount Pleasant.
I really like the campus so far, since the CMU campus is not a big campus, it's small, everything is within this walking distance.
In the first semester of Isabella's school year, she was concerned about how to make friends and fitting in, her biggest fear.
Before studying abroad, my biggest fear was unable to fit in and struggling in making new friends.
But now, Isabella is having the time of her life at university and making friends. Can you introduce yourself a little bit, please?
So, hi everyone, I'm Isabella. I'm currently enrolled in CMU University in Michigan. I used to be a student in APU, and this year I'm a freshman. My major is undeclared. It could be hospitality or the general management. And I live on campus in the dormitory with 3 more roomies and me.
So do you get along well with your roomies?
Yeah, I get along well with all of them. One of them are international students, just like me, from Nepal, and the 2 others Michigans. And I get along pretty well with them all.
That's great. So, Isabella, what was your biggest fear before you started studying abroad?
Before studying abroad, my biggest fear was unable to fit in and struggling in making new friends. So in my first semester in CMU, I got a little bit of a difficulty making friends. So I barely talked to no one in my first semester, but this is my second semester. And since I get used to the culture or the environment, this year I talked to more people. And I'm forming a lot more friendship now. So it's pretty okay. I'm doing okay.
And if you could go back, what would you have done differently to prepare for your studying abroad?
I would say the one thing that I can do differently was to keep in touch with some of my old friends from APU, since I'm not a good person when it's come to getting connected and getting contact with my old friend. So I lose contact mostly with all my old friends. And that is resulting me feeling alone when I was studying abroad, since I have a hard time making new friends and I was unable to keep the relationship with my old friend going on. So if there's any student that is planning on study abroad, I would suggest you guys to keep in touch with your old friend, because there will be a place where you can depend on and where you can rely on when you feel lonely in the brand new places with strangers, I guess.
As you told me, you are living on the campus, right?
Yeah, I am.
So what is it like to live on a campus?
I really like the campus so far, since the CMU campus is not a big campus. It's small. Everything is within this walking distance. And I would say CMU have a good facility when it's come to other resources to helping students in order to understand the material in classes, such as the tutoring center. You can get tutoring for free in the math centers, and also a tutoring center in general, and I'm currently working at the tutoring center of the school too.
So do you have many activities on the campus?
On campus, there's organization called the student organization. So basically, student can sign up to help their own club, and there's about like 500 student club in this school, which you can join in and make friends, make connection, and they hold like weekly meetings, and also they have an e-board elections for the board executive for each of the student organizations. So it's a good place for you to get yourself out there and connect and network with people.
That is really amazing. So in school, are you making friends easily or do you find it difficult?
I found making friends difficult in the first semester in CMU since I'm brand new into this environment into the US, and so I barely talk to everyone. But this year, since this is my second semester, and I know that there's a lot of resources and there's a lot of student organizations that I can join in and make friends, I've been talking and friends with a lot of people right now since I joined like more than 5 student clubs. I'm being involved in student organization e-board, and now a secretary of my resident council. So I make a lot of good friends and knowing a lot of amazing people just by joining club and get myself out there and getting involved and helping people with their event planning, other stuff.
Isabella, I can tell that your English speaking skill sounds amazing. How do you think that helped you adapting to life there?
I wouldn't say that my English is amazing since I still make a lot of mistakes when I'm speaking. But the way that I try to improve my speaking was to talk to people more. And if I ever make a mistake and my friend who was the audience who cannot understand what I'm saying, I will repeat it like 3 or 4 times. I know it's sometimes very annoying for the listener, but since they're our friends and they understand that we are international students, they would just understand us. So what I'm doing to practice my language is just to talk more and to practice to present myself. I take communication class in this school as well. And our school have a presentation center, which is they will have some people who are good at their delivering skills. They will be there. So I can just walk in to the centers and ask them for kind of tailoring my presentations for either it's for classes or it's for the public speaks for some clubs.
So what is your favorite subject in studying now?
I've never had a favorite subject indeed. I like most every subject because I found them all interesting. But I would say my favorite subject would be economics and like writings, even though I'm bad at both of that subject. I like economics just because I like the words of business, the way they're getting customers to getting attracting customer. I feel like it's something more than just business. It's about the psychologies of attracting and the showmanship, if that makes sense.
And what is your favorite thing to do when you are not at school or studying?
My favorite things when I'm not doing my homework or doing school work would be to talk to my roommates or to hang out with my friends that I made in the e-board, since there are some very first friends that I made in Americans that I bond so well and that I can share them my story and tell them how my days go and then listen to their stories as well. We have a different in cultural, so it's always very interesting to listen to each other's story.
As a Vietnamese person, how do you feel you are being treated in America?
I would say I haven't been mistreated in the school so far, but I have know a lot of my friends getting trouble, getting issue with how the white people are treating them in the public. I also get mistreated once in Chicago when I was go travel with my Korean friend into Chicago during the spring break. And we was walking down the street and there was this group of white guy that I believe that they are local Chicago. They're just very curiously looking back at us like multiple times. And at that time, I wasn't listening, I wasn't noticing, and I wasn't aware that what they're doing. But my Korean friend was aware that they're talking about us. And she said something about like, they've been racist toward us. It's very bad that I don't want to mention it. It might be a bit very sensitive.
Is it kind of offensive?
It is offensive according to my word of my Korean friends.
I know that you are having a lot of friends that are international from many countries and also in America. So do they know much about Vietnam?
I would say most of them don't know much about Vietnam, especially where I was born, which is Huế. But a lot of them try to get me to tell where I'm from and try to sort of pointing it out in the map of Vietnam. And they seem very intriguing when I tell them that I'm from Vietnam. So they're very open to my country.
So how are you coping with the change from living in Vietnam to America?
The change was dramatic, but I would just try to adapting into new environments. And as I tell you before, it wasn't an easy process as I struggled a lot in the first semester. But since the second semester, I already get used to and I already know somebody during like classes and clubs. So yeah, I would say it was dramatic, but if you just get yourself out there and there will always be good people and there are people that is interesting in who you are, the kind of person that you are displayed. So just reach out for a friend and don't afraid to make a first move to introduce yourself to the new person, because if they give back you the same energy, then that you know that you have a new friend. But if they don't, there's still a lot of people in the school that you can talk to, that you don't really need that person if they are not giving you the same energy back. So just don't feel bad. Maybe sometimes because they have just a bad day and they don't want to talk to no one. So just don't assume the bad. Just always striking for the good and keep yourself thinking positively.
What do you miss the most in Vietnam right now?
What I miss the most in Vietnam right now is my family. Only my family, because I'm telling you, I'm bad at keeping contact with my old friend. But it doesn't mean that I don't miss all my old friends. I miss them too, but I did a terrible job keeping in touch with all my old friends. Okay, so my family, I miss my family a lot, but what I cope with missing them was I FaceTime them or I call them and just sort of update, taking pictures of how my life going on. Then my mom would take a pictures of our lovely house and send it to me, so we exchange pictures. So yeah, even though I miss my family, I didn't very regret go study abroad because it's opened up for me to opportunities. Yeah.
You know, when I asked this question to the students, they would say the thing that they miss the most is the Vietnamese food. So do you have any Vietnamese food that you miss?
I'm a very adaptive kind of person. So if you throwing me to American, I would just start to eat burger and pizza, just like all the American people. I'm not a picky eater. So my relationship with food was never be hard. So even though I do miss Vietnamese food, but I have American food substitutes, so it's not a big of a deal.
And here is our last question. What is the best piece of advice you could give to anyone that is thinking about studying abroad?
Studying abroad is going to be lonely, it's going to be hard, and making friends is the hardest part. I've been talking to a lot of my international friends, and they all agree with me that making friends is the hardest part, and you always feel lonely. Since once you get back to the dorm and you don't have your family with you, first of all, you feel lonely, and then your roommates. Sometimes your roommates already have their circle of friends, so they wouldn't have a lot of time to talk to you, to hang out with you. So making friends with roommates, it's hard sometimes. But sometimes if you feel lonely, just get yourself out there, going to events and your community events, and then talk to people there. Because those people that go into the community event or going to the student organization, they're also looking for friends. They also open up to making new friends. So that would be a good places for you to make friends and get connected. Making friends in classes is hard for me and for most people too, since we go into class and we listen to lectures and then we head it back home once the lecture is ended. So for me, it's very hard to make friends in class. It's way easier to make friends in the organization or join volunteering and like sort of try to put in an event with another individual. It's a better or an easy way to make friends. And also don't forget to keep in touch with your old friend.
Thanks, Isabella, for joining me with the interview today. It was a pleasant time talking to you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I miss you, Linda.
I miss you too. Thanks so much for our guest today, Isabella. And thanks for listening to the APU AUV podcast. I'm Huỳnh Minh Tâm. We hope you enjoyed this series on life studying abroad. Please like, comment, and share this episode and listen for more episodes on the APU AUV podcast.